Hello, everyone, and welcome to MFSA's podcast. Today, we are very excited because we are going to launch a new series about financial products and concepts, be it related to investments, banking, and insurance. So, if you want to enhance your knowledge and make informed decisions, kindly subscribe to this channel.
My name is Bertram and I'm joined today by Maria and Joseph, and together we form part of the Conduct Supervision unit here at the Malta Financial Services Authority. Today we are here to talk about the concept of sustainable finance. We will be diving into what sustainable finance is, what makes it different from our what we know as regular finance, how we've got here, and sort of where we're going. Maybe I can start by introducing Maria and bringing her into the discussion. So Maria, maybe you can tell us give us an overview of what sustainable finance is and how it impacts us and the market at large.
Sustainable finance plays a key role in promoting the transition to a carbon-neutral and sustainable planet. By supporting projects that prioritize resource efficiency, healthy ecosystems, and promote the circular economy, it helps reduce waste generation, promotes reuse and recycle, and protects the ecosystems. So, through the integration of the environmental, social, and governance factors into investment analysis and reporting, it enables the investor to assess and analyze the investment and holds companies accountable for their environmental impact. Thus, businesses are incentivized to adopt sustainable practices, improve their environmental performances, and reduce their ecological footprint. So, one tells me, what can I do with investing sustainably, taking investments, sustainable investments? What is my action? So, individual actions, when they are adopted by an ever-growing number of people, can truly make a difference when it comes to mitigating the bad effects, worse effects of climate change. So, when an individual is learning about the environment, climate change, and society, that individual can contribute to innovative solutions that will benefit both people and also the planet. One can contribute to the environment, society, and the planet by helping industries reduce their carbon footprint. This can be done, for example, by the investor buying a financial product that follows ESG strategies. So, you tell me, what does ESG stand for? What does it mean? So, E stands for environmental, which considers the company's impact on the environment. S stands for social, which considers the company's relationship with its employees and society at large. And G stands for governance, which considers the governance of the company, basically, the leadership. So, an investor can assess a possible investment or a financial product through these three criteria, and then analyze whether the investment is in line with his beliefs, needs, and wants.
Thanks for that, Maria. So it appears that on one side we have the actions that a company takes, and on the other hand we have actions that individual investors can take, which collectively will lead to more investments being directed towards sustainable finances. Now, naturally, to facilitate this investment, this collective investment towards more sustainable goals, we must mention the role of regulation here, Joseph. So it appears that sustainable finance, while a relatively new concept, has been on the drawing board for quite some time now. So perhaps, Joe, you can take us through the main events that have led us to where we are today.
So with respect to regulation, yes, it has recently we're experiencing a renaissance in regulation, and as well as other global initiatives which are important to mention. For instance, for example, the UN COP Paris, which was held in 2015, whereby the global governments have agreed in order to limit their carbon emissions, and which would then eventually lead to the capping of the 1.5 increase in temperature. Other initiatives were also taken into consideration by the EU. in that perspective prior to the COVID-19, whereby the EU has implemented a number of regulations in this respect related to sustainable finance. So to mention sustainable finance disclosure regulation, there was a taxonomy regulation as well. And in also as part of that, other initiatives which led the European supervisory authorities in order to start implementing, and as well as guiding the national competent authorities on how to tackle greenwashing, and as well as on the sustainable finance strategy. The ultimate aim of the EU regulation is to ensure that investors are well informed and can undertake investment decisions based on the disclosures produced by the entities, such as, for instance, investment firms and insurance, whereby, on the other hand, the actual firms, the license holders, need to disclose to the public the sustainable finance disclosures, make them available to the public, both on an entity level and on a product level, on the product type of products that they would be selling, which are linked to the SFDR regulation. Apart from that, it is important to also take into consideration the sustainable finance preferences that the customers would have during as well the sales process, which will also be discussed later on in this podcast.
Thanks for that, Joseph. So now we've established that we can have financial products that can be green. So we're talking about products as we know them, insurance, investment banking products, but now have a sustainable element to them. Coming from the insurance sector, perhaps what comes to mind is what we know as an insurance-based investment product. So basically, this would be an insurance product which mainly offers life protection. However, part of the premium that is paid by consumers would be directed towards investments, and it would be this part of the premium, this investment that is directed and invested in industries and companies that offer sustainable options. Another example I can think of, which perhaps is more familiar to our audience, would be that of a motor insurance policy. So a sustainable motor insurance policy would be one that primarily would seek to reduce waste. So let's take a practical example where you would have an accident with your motor vehicle, with your car, and you would need to repair your bumper, for example. So the policy would seek to primarily, instead of replacing that bumper, so, throwing the old bumper out, having to order a new one, would seek to repair instead of replace, to reduce landfill waste. And we have to acknowledge that this may come at a larger monetary cost. However, ultimately, the goal is to be more sustainable. So those are two examples of insurance products that come to mind. Maria, perhaps you can talk to us about some banking products that can be green?
Yes. One example of a very good example of a green banking product is green loans. So green loans are loans that will help the individual finance and support environmental friendly projects and initiatives at a personal level. So, for example, one can take a loan to buy an electric car or install solar panels. That loan is facilitating the individual's efforts to contribute to a healthier planet.
And what about investment products, Joe?
So from an investment perspective, there could be such investments in funds, for instance, whereby such investments would be directed towards the companies that are committed to process, that their processes have such positive impact on the environment and as well as society at large. In that case, for instance, another example is in relation to, for instance, a fund that have a sustainable objective in its sense, in the sense that it would practically tackle through its projects, it would tackle the issue of climate change, for instance, or else tackle the importance of circular economy, whereby the importance of reusing, reducing, and recycling. And another instance whereby, for instance, tackling the issue of pollution and marine protection.
Thanks, Joe. You mentioned the importance of disclosure, so the importance of clients having access to information, to be well informed of the purchases that they're going to make, the investments that they're going to make. Maria, what do consumers need to look out? What do consumers need to look out for before they make sustainable purchases and investments?
Yes, it's true that there is the legislation that obliges the company to issue disclosures, but the client has to make sure that the product is really green. The potential instances could be that the product is labeled green, promoted as green, but in reality it is not green at all, or the sustainable goals are exaggerated or incorrect. This practice is known as the famous greenwashing. The financial product actually uses, in this case, when there's greenwashing, uses your money to invest in industries that are not do not promote or engage in activities that are environmental friendly, and in some cases these activities can eventually harm the environment as well. That is greenwashing. So individuals, clients have to make sure and check that the product is really green.
So one has to be aware that this practice of greenwashing can be used by financial product providers to attract the attention of environmentally conscious consumers, to mislead them or perhaps even deceive them into buying products and services which are not really as green as they make them out to be. Joe, perhaps you can give us some practical examples of how greenwashing can occur.
So the phenomenon of greenwashing is affected, so to say, by three main players, in the sense that where you have the trigger, the person who is triggering the information which is not green, the spreader, whereby the person who spreads the information in the sustainable finance value chain, and ultimately the receiver, which is in this case would be the retail consumer who is actually receiving that information through the sustainable finance chain, whereby it would be ultimately misled that the actual company and the underlying investments are in actual fact green, but ultimately they're not green. From a sales perspective level, it's important to note, for instance, that greenwashing can occur whenever an advisor that would be describing a fund, that it would be a fund that is green, investing in renewable energy. But however, for instance, a small portion of the actual fund is investing in green products. So ultimately, that in that instance, greenwashing occurs, and the consumer would have been deceived and misled that the actual fund is actually leads to sustainable development, but when in actual fact it does not lead to sustainable development.
So if I can pitch in and give an example of how greenwashing can occur in a banking product. For example, a financial institution can promise that for every amount of financing loans that this financial institution issues for the purpose of buying solar panels, the financial institution will plant a tree. If the financial institution does not hold this promise, it is greenwashing.
I see. So in both cases, we can say that these would be instances where greenwashing has occurred. Because as a retail investor, as a retail client, you would not have been given an accurate or fair picture of the product or service that you are taking out, of where your investment is going, or the initiatives taken by the company. So ultimately, as consumers, we need to keep in mind that we always should feel confident and comfortable in requesting more information from the service providers to make sure that our investments are actually being invested in the way that we want them to be, and to make sure that the actions that the company say that they are taking are actually being initiated. So thank you for tuning in. We hope you learned a bit more about sustainable finance and the concept of greenwashing. If you would like more information, you can always visit our website www.mfsa.mt/greenwashing, and we remind you to subscribe to our channel and follow our podcast for more insight on financial matters.